Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism is the sponsor of our episode today. Warm temps and fresh seafood make the Alabama Gulf Coast the perfect beach destination for your family vacation, couples getaway, outdoor adventure, meetings, conferences, and conventions. Jackie McGonigal is the coordinator of the City of Orange Beach's Wind and Water Learning Center, and we are excited today to learn about the center and the services that it provides for its locals and guests to really fully embrace this coastal area through the facilities, the equipment, and education, and the variety of sports that come with it. So, Jackie, it is a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And I really am appreciative of Easton Colvin and Kay Mahan from the Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, because they're really introducing me to some pretty amazing people. And I gotta say, your job is, I'm a little envious because I'm in the middle of the desert right now. There's not a lot of water around. I really am excited to learn about the Wind and Water Learning Center. But before we do, I'd like to learn just a little bit more about you. How did you end up in this role as the coordinator?
Sure. I feel like it was kind of a culmination of a lot of things. I grew up here in community, actually, and I got a pretty lengthy background at this point in outdoor leadership, environmental science, education, and field settings. But I really spent a lot of time as a child on the waterways that I now teach on, and I just wanted to find ways to infuse not only my academic background within biology, ecology, community-based conservation. I wanted to use outdoor recreation as a way to lead people towards environmental stewardship, and especially appreciation and protection of our coastal waterways here. The opportunity just kind of fell in my lap. I never imagined that I would be a sailing and a kayaking instructor. And I really, even though I do a lot of that in my day to day, I first and foremost consider myself to be an outdoor educator, specifically for environmental science, and getting to sail and kayak and share that type of thing with people, whether they're residents of Orange Beach or visitors to our area. It really is a great job. I couldn't have asked for a better gig.
Fantastic. Now, I'm curious, first, where did you go to school to get your education?
I attended the University of Montevallo, where I got my undergrad in biology.
Okay.
And then much later, I went back and got my master's from Miami University, also in biology, with a concentration in community-based conservation.
Okay. Now, Miami University, we're talking Midwest here.
We're talking Oxford, Ohio.
Okay. All right. And what's their mascot?
The Red Hawk.
The Red Hawk. Okay. I didn't know that. I grew up in the Midwest in Detroit, and I've lived in Chicago for a good portion of my life. And now I don't recognize you said you were born and raised in the South and in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach area. I don't recognize the Southern accent there. So something changed in your life, but do you ever get mistaken for a Northerner?
No, absolutely not. I love fried food and sweet tea too much.
Okay. Okay. When I first moved to Montgomery, as I was there for a year, I stopped at a McDonald's and I asked for tea, iced tea. And little did I know I was going to get a sweet tea. I learned right then and there it's either sweet tea or cold tea. So,
Mhm.
all right, lessons learned. So, how did you land this job at the Wind and Water Learning Center, or were there some other types of positions that you had before ending where you're at right now?
Sure. Well, I started off volunteering with Graham Creek Nature Preserve, which is a couple towns north of us. They have a phenomenal team that they were also placing a very heavy emphasis on getting kids into outdoor settings and appreciating the natural resources that we have here. I volunteered with Wolf Bay Watershed Watch while I was doing that same stuff at Graham Creek. And so just by doing that, I met a really great mentor, who I still consider a mentor of mine, Leslie Gahagan, and she taught me so much about issues that we're facing our area, in ways that we could better protect our environment, but then also open doors for people to come in and work within environmental fields and introduce them to these concepts, but in a lighthearted, fun way, like teaching kids about water quality and doing it through kayaking on a field trip instead of just sitting in a classroom being lectured about what could potentially be a very boring topic. So starting off with that and spending a substantial amount of time learning from her and growing in leadership with her. Then I hopped over to a nonprofit for a little while that was very much focused on some of the same issues, but with a little bit of a twist. And from there, this opportunity came up, and it was a blank canvas, and I was given the freedom to sort of make it what I wanted, and the opportunity was it was too good to pass up, and it still allowed me to work with some of the colleagues and peers that I had initially from years ago. So I took it.
Fantastic. Well, the beauty and the strength we have is when an opportunity presents itself that we stop in the moment and are able to embrace it. Because some of us, we miss it. Could be looking at our cell phone for that matter. But
Yeah.
you it sounds like opportunities came your way and you recognized it. So
It
and
really
yeah,
I do think it really does come down with the people that are working along the northern Gulf Coast. The environmental field is a pretty small field in the
yeah,
South, especially locally. And I think no matter which municipality or organization we're working for, we still very much work together all the time. And I think having having had the opportunity to work with some leaders within this industry down here, I feel like they really paved the way for me to be where I am right now, and I'm looking forward to still growing in this role and turning it into something even bigger.
very good, very good. So let's learn a little bit more, if we can, about the Wind and Water Learning Center. How long has it been in existence, and what are the kind of the key programs that are offered for locals and for folks coming and pay a visit?
Sure. Well, the flagship program, if you will, is our youth summer sail camps. And those started in 2004. The city of Orange Beach, they were handed this program from a local Point Yacht Club. And a lady named Jeannie Fitzgibbons, she was over the development of it and making sure that that program continued on. She raised the funds to build the Wind and Water Learning Center facility that's here now, and that went up in 2013. And we've actually just wrapped up today. We just finished our 22nd year of summer sail camp. So that's the history of it. It's the building was largely just used during the summer, a little bit in the fall, from what I understand. I'm still relatively new to this position, but
Okay.
it the building was not utilized year round. And so when I came on board, that was one of the goals that was made very clear to me was to create keep sail camp. We can't ever get rid of that. And no one wants to. I feel
Of
like it's a
course.
summer staple in our community. But build year round learning opportunities, not just for kids, but all the way up to adults. Build programs for people who live here, build programs for people that might only summer vacation here, or maybe they're only here for a weekend, but just provide ways for those people to get out on the water um, year round.
Okay. So if you are a visitor, so in September I will be a visitor, even though I lived in Montgomery for a year, I never made it down to the coast, and I could like pinch myself for that, but I'm going to be visiting. in September, if I am a visitor and I discover the Wind and Water Learning Center, and let's say I want to get out on the water. I've never really sailed, but I'd like to experience it. What can they expect when they give you a call or they visit your website?
Sure. We offer private and small group lessons pretty much anytime throughout the year. Now in the winter, whenever water temperatures drop into the low 70s or lower, it doesn't mean you can't hop in a kayak or go sailing. It just means you have to be better prepared for it. So you would have to have cold water gear. But as long as you have that, we can go sailing or kayaking year round. And I teach those using either US Sailing small boat curriculum or the ACA's coastal kayaking curriculum. So we put a really heavy emphasis on being safe on the water, how to sail or maneuver our kayak effectively and efficiently. If you're doing that, you're going to have a more enjoyable experience. You're going to be able to paddle or sail longer distances. You'll be able to access more remote areas of our back bay waterways. So that's an option. We also do paddle and paint kayak excursions, and it's an opportunity for people to go on a kayak excursion, anchor up in a beautiful spot, and then actually create their own watercolor painting using the water right out of the bay. And it's a really meditative experience that's
Wow.
a pretty non-typical experience, I think, for tourists that come down this way. But I've had great feedback from it. A lot of people that either have never painted before, or maybe they're just so used to the hustle and bustle of their everyday life that they might tend to be on the little ADD side. They've told me that they can't even remember the last time that they just sat in one spot in stillness and silence for 30 minutes. But yet when they're sitting in this kayak floating in Wolf Bay with a beautiful sunset focused on the art that they're creating in front of them, they don't even realize that they've been sitting there for 30 or 40 minutes. And it's been shocking to me how many people have said how much they appreciate that. And they didn't even realize they were missing that in their day to day. So we can always do one of those excursions for people. We also offer ACA kayak courses at different times of the year, even for ecotourism professionals that are looking to add a certification to their resume. They can come here and take those types of lessons. We also offer seasonal float and flow yoga classes. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You have an inflatable yoga mat and you go out a little ways into the bay, you anchor off, and then we partnered with a local yoga studio, Glow Yoga,
Okay.
and they have highly qualified instructors, and they come and they lead a yoga flow right there in the bay. And it's the people that have come to do that have really enjoyed it, and it's fun and definitely lighthearted. You can't take yourself too seriously because no one is truly good at float and flow yoga. You will end up in the water, but it's all laughs and it's a good time
Yeah,
and just a unique experience.
that sounds unique. I mean, both the painting and the yoga. And I'm actually wondering. I mean, what's the weight limit on the floating yoga mat? Because
Oh,
that.
we'll get you on a yoga mat in September if you want to
All
do
right,
that.
I may take you up on that because I am
Okay.
spending time before our conference and after. So, if if I call you, check out the website. Let's say I want to do the kayaking and the coloring. So everything is you are staying in the kayak, and I would imagine you're not getting
Yes.
out of it, and you've got your painting now. Is there someone? Could it be yourself or one of the instructors? Is also an artist and are helping instruct the guest to how to take advantage of the materials he or she has?
Yes, so I've been the lead instructor on all of those, and I do a little bit of a kayak coaching session before we go, and then
Okay.
I've break down watercoloring into 5 very basic steps, and I have my own boat that I carry everyone's gear for them,
Mhm.
including your anchors, so you're not having to paddle around with extra weight. And once we get to a shoreline where we're going to stop and do our painting, I secure everyone's anchors, I pass out art supplies, and then I'm just on hand and available to help anyone either remember the order of the steps or go over more specific technique. But I try to give people their space on these excursions. I'm not here to ruin anyone's good time. So rather than barraging people with all these tips on how to paddle more efficiently or how to create a certain type of picture, I I do want people to have their own freedom to explore the environment, to just be, to have their own positive experience. But if they want further instruction, then I'm there ready to jump in and help them out however they want.
Okay. See, now that actually interests me. Oh, well, they both interest me. I'm thinking, which one am I not going to end up in the water? But I love that. I mean, it's unique. I mean, we've got kayaking out here on Lake Mead in near Boulder City, and we've got in sailing programs up on Lake Michigan when I lived in Chicago. By the way, what type of a sailboat are you doing your instructions on and rentals on?
So right now we have Optimist International
Okay.
dinghies, which we use for the younger. That's
Hmm.
it's a racing fleet that's used all over the world for
Okay.
children up to 13 years old, or they max out at 120 pounds.
Okay.
Then we also have Sunfish, which is
Okay.
also considered an international racing fleet. That's a super accessible boat, really fun to sail, been around for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And then we also have Club 420s, which
Okay.
is, we call it a double handed boat. You have to have two people to sail
Right.
that. And that's the style of boat that high schools and colleges compete in. So it's a little bit bigger boat, a little bit faster, multiple sails. And I usually put high school students or my own sailing instructors in those so they can further develop their skills on the water.
Okay. When I was in Chicago, I learned on Rhodes 19s, but I remember we had 420s and we had some Optimists. But see, now you're making it hard for me when I get down there because there's three things. I'd probably put the kayaking first because it's been a while since I've been on a sailboat and raced.
Hmm.
But you're making it difficult for me to make that decision, which is a good thing. It means I have to come back. As far now, you're sitting in the office right now. I know you've scheduled part of your day to be on this podcast, but I imagine you're not the only one there who's supporting the locals and the visitors coming to want to partake with these activities at the center. What does your team look like? I mean, who's out there supporting you?
Well, so the Wind and Water Learning Center is actually a part of the City of Orange Beach's Coastal Resources Department.
Hmm.
And we are a pretty sizable department. We have lots of different divisions.
Hmm.
So during the summer, I have my own staff of sailing instructors, usually 5 to 6.
Hmm.
They're largely focused on running sail camps.
Hmm.
Then once the summer ends, they go back to school typically, and then I have to draw from other divisions within my department. I don't have any additional sailing instructors, but there currently are 3 other coastal resource staff that have their ACA coastal kayak certification as well. And plus a lot of our department, they're just extremely intelligent people. A lot of them, their backgrounds are also in environmental science. They're um, a really resourceful bunch. I have had almost no problem that they have not been able to help solve for me, logistically speaking, or any sort of program that I've come up with, or field trip opportunities for local students. Anytime I need extra hands on deck, they're so far, they've always been there, show up with a smile. They're enthusiastic, ready to jump in, literally sometimes jump in the water. So it's kind of a mixed bag right now. It just depends on what time of year that you are here. But we're still, I feel like, in that program building phase. I haven't been here for quite 2 years, but I'm hoping that as our programs grow, as we get more and more people that are attending them on a regular basis, and staff here at the Wind and Water, to have year-round people that are completely dedicated to the programs that we offer and any new programs that we happen to build.
Okay. And I want to talk a little bit about the new programs of some of your goals, but question I have before that is you got the kayaking, the sailing, I'm sure there's rescue, first aid. What other types of credentialing and certifications make up the expertise like someone like yourself? What kind of training and certifications are needed to really deliver the quality flagship programs like you have?
Sure. CPR and first aid certification is a minimum. I I keep my wilderness first responder certification current, and that's through solo wilderness medicine. And like this summer, we had an EMT on staff. So I feel like we're very well equipped to deal with any sort of medical emergency that might pop up. But then we also have a phenomenal EMS team with the city of Orange Beach, and they're not far away at all. So, and they're even on the water. We have marine police that come and escort us during a lot of our kayaking programs. So we almost always have some sort of EMS personnel very, very close by. So I feel really good about that. And I think that's also something that sets our programming apart is there is such a heavy emphasis on safety, which we don't lead with that up front, but it's always behind the scenes. And as far as like the actual quality of instruction goes, we do follow US sailing curriculum for all of our sailing programs. They're the governing body even for the Olympic level of sailing. So there's definitely something to them. And then with ACA, the American Canoe Association, the name is misleading, but they're the governing body also now at the Olympic level for any paddle sport, whether that's whitewater kayaking, whether it's coastal kayaking, paddle boarding, canoeing, you name it. If you can operate it with a paddle,
Mhm.
ACA has curriculum for that. So while that hasn't been required in the past, I'm slowly trying to work my way towards making that a requirement for anyone who instructs here, just so people know that the type of education that they're going to receive or the experience that they're going to have on the water is going to be one that is as safe as possible. And they're going to get a really, really high caliber of instruction in whatever they do.
Okay, very good.
As far as like field trips go, I realize that's not so much tourism based, but our department exists within the city to take care of our natural resources, and a lot of that comes down to educating the public about what's here, why it's important, issues that we're facing, and some actions that we can all take to help address those and build our community up to be even more resilient from an environmental standpoint. And almost every person that comes to help with those field trips within our department, they all have degrees or an experience within a science background.
Okay. What are some of the programs that, you know, visionary programs, say a year out, 2 years out? What type of programs are you thinking about spearheading? And it's also an opportunity to grow your staff and increase the number of offerings that the center provides.
Mhm. Well, I would love to start offering sailing lessons and kayaking lessons during the school year for homeschool groups. We actually have a pretty good size homeschool community here. And I think getting those kids out on the water on a regular basis during the fall and spring, almost like it's a PE class, but way cooler because you are
Mhm,
either in a sailboat or in a kayak.
mhm.
I think developing those, and then I would really like to find some grants that I could pursue to where I could even pair kayaking with some sort of conservation based project. And then as far as the paddle and paint, I'd like to continue to grow that to get it to be more well attended and maybe offer it throughout the year rather than just seasonally. And if I could work my way up to a larger boat, whether it's a centerboard style boat or a fixed keel, and we can start inching our way closer and closer towards the Gulf, into bigger bodies of water and maybe accommodating larger groups of people, like an entire family, and they're all on the boat and we're all crewing and skippering. Those are some things that I would like to see and I think are possible for us to eventually get to.
Very good. I'm curious, when you have your downtime,
What
which
downtime?
what down?
What are you
Okay,
talking about?
that bad question, Howard. You're such a foolish question. Okay, so as a coach, okay, no downtime. But if you did, Jackie, what would be your preferred way to kind of take advantage of either your work or just getting out there and enjoying yourself with your friends, family? What would you like to do or do more of?
Well, I'm really fortunate to be working in a job that my personal passions are what I do day to day almost with work. I love being out on the water. I've been marinating in Wolf Bay since I was a little kid. So I feel like I feel anytime I can get out on a boat, whether it's a sailboat. My husband built a flats boat, and so we like to take that out, and also kayaking too. I've really been getting more into open water kayaking. That's what I do with my free time. Also, I practice yoga. Again, I found a way to incorporate that into my workday. So I've gotten to a point where um if I'm not passionate about it and if I don't love doing it, I'm certainly not going to do it for work.
There you go. I love it. So I'm curious with being down in the Gulf area, as you say, marinating for these many years and doing your work. You've gotten to know folks at Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, Easta and Kay. What's your interactions with an organization like the tourist organizations like them, and what's been your interaction with them?
They've been really supportive, from I feel like day one that I took this position. Any program that I come up with, they've always been open to helping me market it and to help get the word out. If I have any events, they've offered to come take photographs. It's just simple things like that that are just extremely helpful in marketing new programs because that's honestly, I think, what I struggle with the most here. I can come up with ideas all day long, but if you can't effectively market it, then no one's going to know about it. And the
Mhm.
tourism organizations down here, I feel like they have helped fill that gap.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to be down there in September for the Outdoor Writers Association of America. It's our annual conference. What types of activities can my peers expect from knowing that the Wind and Water Learning Center is available?
Well, I believe we're already planning on doing a kayak excursion, and
Okay.
I would certainly Howard, I would love to get you on one of those float and flow yoga mats, so maybe we'll throw in a yoga lesson too.
Okay, that's fine. It's funny because the association laid out our schedule, our pre-conference schedule and post, and I noticed there was nothing on Thursday. I don't know what was up with that. So,
It's a surprise.
okay. All right. So before we head out, Jackie, I am curious as you look back on your career and spending most of your life in or all of your life down in the South and in the Gulf Coast and getting to do the work that you do today, what would be your aha moment for like, wow, get to do this?
I feel like I spoke to this already a little bit, but
Okay.
more and more often during work days, I do have brief moments where I'll pause and just kind of look around and take into stock what I am doing for work. And I've realized multiple times that a lot of work days being in the water and it's almost like things that I did when I was a little kid and that I really enjoyed, I'm still doing as an adult, only I'm getting paid for it. So being in a kayak and exploring our waterways. And I actually did not learn how to sail until I was an adult. But even then I was doing that for fun, and now I'm doing it as a part of my work day. And I've always had a love of learning, especially anything to do with the environment. I come from my family, their background was in charter boat fishing and then also hunting as well. So even from a really young age, I was always being taken out on the water, always playing in the woods, and no matter the time of the year. And so just learning about native plants and animals and how things work together and relate to each other, which is that's the study of ecology, is the relationship between things within the environment. I was doing that as a kid and I still continue to do that as an adult, but now I just have this platform with my job to where I can take the things that I have learned and am still learning and share it with people of all ages. So
Very good.
I have aha moments that it's just like, wow, things that I loved doing when I was a kid, I'm still doing. And I just feel really lucky to have a job where I do have those moments quite often.
That's something we can hope for. And it's great to hear people experience that. And I can only imagine what it's like being out in those kayaks with the watercolors and just enjoying that beautiful could be sunrise or sunset, I would imagine, but both very beautiful. By the way, if it's a sunrise, there has to be a cup holder for my cup of coffee on the boat, on the kayak, by the way. Just saying.
I'll carry it for you in my skiff and then you just wave me over when you need a sip.
I love that. You and I are gonna be like best buds when I get down there. So I'm curious too, if you had to provide, just based on your experience and what you have accomplished, what you're doing and hope to do, what would be your insight to go that you'd like to leave with our listening community and especially my peers at the Outdoor Writers Association of America who are going to be coming down for the conference?
Oh gosh. Well, as far as insight and inspiration, I draw a lot of that from, like I said, mentors that I've had within the environmental industry down here and people that I currently work with right now. But there is a quote from a former president. It was Teddy Roosevelt, and he basically the quote, and forgive me if I don't get it exactly right, but he said, "Do what you can with what you've got where you are." And I think about that a lot because with these brand new programs that we're creating, I don't always have everything in place right at the start, but I do have a lot at my disposal. And we live in a beautiful place that even if we didn't have the best equipment or if we didn't have a ton of people here, it's always special getting out in these natural settings and just taking the knowledge that I do have right now and the equipment that I do have right now and putting it to the best use that I can think of where this facility is and just sharing that with people.
Thank you for that gift. Before we head out, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where are the best places for them to go?
Well, they could Google the Wind and Water Learning Center, and it's one of the searches that pop up if it has an orangebeachal.gov behind it. That's us. That's our webpage on the City of Orange Beach's website. So there's a lot of info there. We also have a Facebook page, same thing, Wind and Water Learning Center. And we have an Instagram account as well, which unfortunately I don't post to that as often as I should, but the handle is wind_water_center.
Fantastic. We will provide the backlinks to the website as well as to the Facebook and Instagram. And I have no doubt, just as this episode gets picked up, more and more are going to want to investigate, do their research, and who knows, maybe you're going to be posting more to Instagram because people love this stuff and appreciate that. Jackie, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. And again, I'm very grateful that Easton and Kay had suggested that I have this conversation with you. And just as we kind of get ready for the conference. And just, I can't wait. I mean, just the work you're doing and the opportunities to get out on the water. And it's exciting. It's very exciting. So
Yeah.
thank you for taking time out of your day.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. Could I do one shameless plug?
Oh, please do.
Okay. So we do seasonal fundraisers here at the Wind and Water Learning Center, and they're called Full Moon Paddles. We have one coming up on August 27th. That'll be our last one for the season.
Okay.
And we get a local restaurant to cater some hors d'oeuvres, and we'll get a local musician to come and play some tunes. People, they hang out for an hour or so, just enjoying each other's company, fellowship. And then we go out around sunset. We all launch for a guided kayak tour on Wolf Bay. We watch the full moon come up, and then we come back with headlamps on. We have a marine police escort and everything that helps keep us safe out on the water. And they're really great events. They're really fun. It's a great way for people to experience our waterways, and at a time that maybe they've never kayaked at night before. And the best part is all of the registration money goes to the Baldwin County Child Advocacy Center. And they're a really great organization that they've been working in our county for over 20 years at this point, actually over 30 years at this
Okay.
point. And they provide all sorts of services to kids that have been coming out of abusive situations. And it's something that nobody wants to talk about that, but the work that they do is so important. And it's something that I've been really proud of to use this facility to help support their mission and the work that they've been doing. So if you're ever down here during the summer and it's close to a full moon, look us up and maybe come attend one of those full moon paddles, have fun, and know that you're doing really great work.
I have to share. I appreciate you sharing that. And we will have this episode up before the 25th. Jackie, once again, thank you for your time. Joining us today is wonderful to learn more about you and your work and the Wind and Water Learning Center and really all the great services and programming that you have to offer. And I just think it's wonderful that whether you're a local or just a visitor coming in for a short stay or a summer stay at one of the month-to-month rentals, there's just so much that you have to offer at the center. And getting on the water, it's also more than just fishing. Okay, it's not
Yes,
all
it is so
fishing.
much more.
Yeah. So thank you again for taking your time to
All
first
right.
with us today.
Thank you.
All right, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick close, and then you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we have just been chatting with Jackie McGonigal. She is the coordinator at the Wind and Water Learning Center, which is a service the city of Orange Beach, and just the wonderful insight into services and benefits that visitors and residents have when they live in the beautiful Gulf Coast. And whether you're in sailing or water yoga, that one I'm trying to get my head around, but in the kayaking and just taking advantage of all the wonderful environment and resources that are around. Now, want you definitely to visit their website at the City of Orange Beach, and we're going to provide a link back specifically to the Wind and Water Learning Center, and we're going to provide links back to their Facebook and Instagram pages. Thank you again to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism for sponsoring this episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series and introducing us to Jackie. Now, to begin planning your beach vacation, getaway, or outing, visit Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism's website at gulfshores.com. As for us on this episode, you can find us at our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We also have pages on LinkedIn and on Facebook, Outdoor Adventure Series. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts from. So wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, you'll get this episode and many others that are in our library. And until next time, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there and have a phenomenal day. And we will see you on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.